got the three amigos back together again here on this Monday. Lots of things going on, lots of things to talk about. How did everybody have? Did everybody have a nice weekend? Let me know in the chat if you had a nice weekend. Did you stop by the Star Drive-In in East Taunton? Let me know if you stopped by the Star. Did you say LTL? If you say LTL at the checkout, you'll get 10% off. And of course, we are sponsored by the Star Drive-In. So I appreciate everybody back in here on Let's Talk Live. This is the LTL Media channel. If you haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lots of stuff to get into this evening. Gonna start off with Mr. Michael Proctor. We're gonna start off with Michael Proctor. We're gonna get into about the grand juror that leaked information supposedly in the Karen Reed case. And I want to dive into that. And then we're going to end this evening with the Long Island Audit, Sean Reyes, and get Todd McGhee and Nan Gallagher's take on what the hell happened in Connecticut. But I don't want to wait too much longer. Let's not make my awesome guest backstage wait too much longer. Let's bring in ladies first this evening. We have one and only attorney Nan Gallagher joining the show. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
I'm great. And the one and only Todd McGhee. How's everybody doing? How was everybody's weekend?
Oh, it's great.
It's great. I'm going to Todd to the side, me in the middle.
There you go.
That's how we do it. Now I feel like we're right in the right spot. So Michael Proctor doesn't show in court today, but I want to get to a first story that I saw that popped up on July 18th, halting the destruction of his iCloud account. I guess other attorneys are putting this out and saying halt the destruction of this information. This came, WCVB says defense attorneys seek to halt destruction of Proctor's iCloud account. Attorneys for several criminal defendants are asking courts to stop the destruction of electronic records from a former Massachusetts State Police Trooper, Michael Proctor, who lost his job in wake of his testimony during the Karen Reed's first trial. Proctor was terminated by the agency in March prior to his start of Reed's second trial after months of suspension. During the first trial, Proctor was questioned about messages he shared with a group of friends. After reading one of the messages, in which he called Reed a whack job C, he apologized to the jury for his unprofessional comments. In other text messages, Proctor told his sister that he hopes Reed was kill herself, and Proctor described his messages as very regrettable. But we go on, and of course, Karen Reed was found not guilty of the murder of Officer John O'Keefe. So data from Proctor's iCloud account has been obtained during an FBI investigation into handling of O'Keefe's murder case. A federal court ordered mandate the destruction of the records 30 days after the conclusion of Reed's case. But attorney representing defendants in other cases investigated by Proctor are arguing they only learned of the immediate deadline by Thursday. Quote, if they have copies of emails on Trooper Proctor's iCloud that we're aware of, that they have custody of, once we ask for them, they have an obligation. They do not have to turn over the actual email, but they absolutely have to turn over the exculpatory information within the emails that led us to defense attorney Rosemary, and I'm going to get this one wrong. Go ahead, man.
Scapicchio.
I can't say it. It's too tongue twisty for me.
Scapicchio. You're never going to get it. It's okay.
Representative homicide defendants investigating by Proctor. Nan, this had major implications in the case that was called today, Miles King. And if you want to talk a little about that, because you were texting me, kind of catching me up on what happened today. Adam Lally was on the stand, but apparently Michael Proctor didn't show. He felt like he had to go on vacation.
Yeah, I guess some things are more important to him. He apparently has enough money to take a vacation. So who needs a pension nowadays? Yeah, I was texting you, Brian, because I'm like, oh my God, are you watching this? It was like watching the Super Bowl. You know, many of us, and not just lawyers, were looking at the hearing today, which was televised on the Miles King matter. And for your audience, Miles King is another criminal defendant who's accused of murder. Oh, excuse me, unaliving. I'm still learning the YouTube rules. But unaliving in up in the beautiful state or Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And he is accused of that. And ultimately, the investigator on his case, the lead investigator, was one disgraced former Michael Proctor. Michael Proctor, and the prosecutor was Adam Lally, who, just for the record, everyone, I've actually have been on record saying that Adam Lally is and was a better performing prosecutor than Brennan. And he did so poorly today. So that means if he's better than Brennan, then Brennan's really awful. But what ended up happening was once Proctor got put on the Brady list because he had been essentially outed for his termination and the bias found and all the reasons he was terminated, he had to be put on the Brady list, which alerts all defendants, all of their attorneys, that someone involved in law enforcement or prosecution has done something wrong that would affect exculpatory evidence or impeachment related issues at a trial. And as any good criminal defense attorney should do, someone like Rosemary Scapicchio and others, including on the Brian Walsh case, have said, hold on, we've got questions. We want to explore what went missing. Did anything go missing? Were any steps not taken? Was there any type of prosecutorial misconduct or police misconduct? If so, to what degree? And then further look into whether an analysis has to be performed as to what is the remedy for that. So Rosemary Scapicchio had a hearing today where she started taking testimony from Adam Lally, and he showed up with an ethics lawyer to essentially try to get him not to testify. The judge, I don't know if it was Judge Krupp.
I think it was Krupp.
It was a fair judge, which is a refreshing breath of fresh air. And this judge was like, no, he'll testify, which is the right thing to do. And it is what Judge Cannoni should have done when there was shenanigans going on in the Karen Reed case. Missing evidence, late served evidence, suddenly found evidence, no reasonable explanations as to why evidence wasn't previously handed over in a timely fashion, missing portions of videos, etc. This judge today said, no, we'll have Prosecutor Lally sit down, asked a series of questions. He's not done yet. He'll be returning on August 5th, as will Michael Proctor after his rest and relaxation in an undisclosed vacation spot. And she's going to really hit them with tough questions as to when they knew or should have known about the existence of and the ultimate production of 6 search warrants. Only 1.5 search warrants were apparently produced previously to the defense. But all 6 of them, which were, wink, wink, prepared by Michael Proctor, those 6 were presented to a grand jury, which resulted in an indictment of Miles King. So if Lally knew about the existence of these 6 search warrants, and it sure looks like he did, why he didn't exercise what's called, quote, due diligence to make sure that he had them and that they were handed over to the other side, especially because they were presented to the grand jury, so that the defense would have had a reasonable and robust opportunity to explore everything in them, the affidavits and the like. This is misconduct at its finest. And Lally went in there today, and to anyone who hasn't seen it, I would encourage you to go back and watch today's hearing. It was only this morning, did not complete. But you had Adam Lally coming back to really, it's a reckoning. It's one of the reckonings that I've hoped for. I've been forecasting. He's in the hot seat, answering why he never produced things, why he knew about them, what his system was to follow up on things, why he never documented that Proctor never handed these affidavits over to him or these search warrants over to him in a timely fashion. So there is much more to come on August 5th. But to tie it all together, Brian, this is why the issue of the preservation of Proctor's iCloud is so important. So I believe that the judge who decided to extend the 30-day time period, it's extended out at least one more week to not destroy or allow the destruction of his iCloud. Whatever is in Proctor's text messages, which might be linked to his iCloud, his emails, which might be tied to his iCloud, those are pivotal because Proctor has exhibited time and time again missteps, obfuscation of evidence, intentional misconduct, in my opinion, although that's for a trier of fact to decide. And then ultimately, what may end up being racial or ethnic slurs or gender-related biases in the handling of defendants. That was a mouthful, but I got it together in just a few minutes for your audience.
Todd, what's your take on Proctor? I mean, are we going to see more of this behavior that we saw in the Karen Reed case in other cases? I mean, do you have a feeling about this at all? Does this kind of, if it's seen in one case, and I don't know if you've come across any of this in your career, and please let us know if you have, if this happens in one case, does this tend to permeate through other cases as well?
Brian, Nan, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everything that Proctor has touched throughout his time inside the DA's office has been tainted. It's dirty. It's going to be looking for worms under rocks, and every case is going to have its share of rocks and its share of worms hiding until they're exposed. So it's part of our criminal justice system. Fortunately, again, we can punch holes and talk about some of the not so good things, but this part of our justice system is where equity happens. This is where the balance is laid out for, within the criminal justice system. Now, what's going to turn up sad is that if there are legitimate guilty people that end up walking because fruits of the poisonous tree were obtained, right, Nan? That's usually what happens when evidence has been brought forward and it's tainted and it's not good. Or as a result of a search warrant, they went outside of the scope of the search warrant. And that's another issue with the Walsh matter, is that what was in the scope of the search warrant. So all of those things are going to be exposed. Now, if there's nothing there, fine. Those cases will move on, right? And that's what we hope, that professionals were being professional at the time. However, to your earlier point, usually leopards don't change their spots, and we'll see the same behavior throughout every single case that he's touched.
I agree.
I'm trying to get the mentality around this, Todd, because you spent 24 years in the Massachusetts State Police. Is this something that is a mentality that someone is born with and it carries through their life? Or is this something where they go through the training, they go through the academy, they get a couple of years behind their belt, and then they sit here and say, well, if I cut corners like this, or, hey, I have a badge now, so I'm above the law. What is it, Todd? What is this inside someone that makes them turn this way?
I think there's a sense of arrogance, Brian, that someone gets into a position of power. I'll never forget this. When I was in the police academy, we had an instructor say to us that as a police officer, you have more power than a judge. And they went on to say is that the law, under the right circumstances, allows you to take a human being's life. And that never left me. And so that sense of power, and then to know that you can prosecute cases and take away someone's liberty, right, based on whatever the allegations are, that's a lot of power. And if that power turns your ego into arrogance, you see this misconduct and you see this behavior. I cannot honestly say that I work with a bunch of professionals, and whether I worked a case by myself or whether I worked a case in a fire marshal's office, it was always a team effort. I worked alongside professionals that never compromised anything. They never took a second angle. They followed the evidence wherever the evidence was going. And there were times where we were at an arson. We knew it was an arson, but we couldn't prove it. We couldn't prove cause and origin. So you don't find someone that you dislike out of the list of people you've interviewed. You make a declaration that it's unfounded. We don't know what the cause and origin is unless you can go back and go deeper into the investigation. You make a declaration that at this point, we cannot identify a person that's responsible, and you move on.
I mean, that's the right way to do it. I mean, this is not, you don't work this way like they worked the way in Karen Reed's case.
No.
You don't just say, well, let's pin it on the girl because it's the easiest one. She's got the less connections to all these people that are involved. Let's set them aside. Let's save them. And let's put this, this woman on trial and have to go through 4 years of getting her life twist and turned upside down, financially catastrophic financial disaster for her, reputation smeared across the planet. I mean, you're never as much as excuse me, as much as that not guilty verdict came down for the murder. Yeah, we have the OUI. I'll deal with that. But as much as all that Karen Reed has gone through for the last 4 years, you're never really, truly ever going to recover from that, because there's always going to be a certain sect of people that are going to look at you and say, oh, well, you had this and you had this on your side and you had this. It was in the bag and we knew that she was going to get out of this or whatever it may be. I mean, your reputation just gets smeared across the planet. And, the way you did it was the right way. That's how you're supposed to investigate.
That's exactly the way how you're supposed to investigate. And I want to remind your audience that, we tend to focus on the text messages from Proctor because they were so provocative. But his third charge of his termination was bias policing.
Yeah, evidence collection. Yep.
And I shared this on your show before. There's the potential to impact someone's civil rights based on that bias practice. So it's a much bigger deal, than just what was happening during the course of the investigation.
Go ahead, Nan, jump in here.
Yes, I agree. That's probably the most important finding against Proctor. And that came out, as we all know, just days before the trial started, which was really pivotal for Karen's team, in my opinion. But in addition to that, I also want to mention, while we're talking about how investigations are legally supposed to take place so as not to have confirmation bias and not to have an infringement upon one's civil rights. Let's just imagine for one moment that Karen did commit the crime that she had been charged with. Okay, let's suspend reality and imagine that. Even if she had, the law enforcement still rushed its investigation. They rushed to judgment with her. They didn't pursue leads. They didn't knock on doors. They didn't look at video. They didn't conclude that there was no video. They didn't exercise that quote unquote due diligence that I was speaking of a while ago. So whether she had done it, which she didn't, or not, there were missteps along the way with her. And then you now see, as we were talking about last week, this cultural problem that is insidious throughout law enforcement. We're seeing it now just because it's kind of spotlighted for us in Massachusetts. It's everywhere. We know, we agree with that. But we're seeing now that these types of issues can take on different tentacles, whether it's the Brian Walsh case and also now, for example, the Miles King case. And when there's law enforcement misstepping and prosecutors misstepping and either passively allowing it to happen or actively being involved in the hiding of evidence or the late production of it, with the right type of judge, you're going to get some accountability, but we should never even be here. And I just want one other quick note that I don't know if this judge will ultimately dismiss the charges against Miles King. There are different remedies for what's called Rule 14 violations, but sometimes you can't fashion an appropriate remedy to fix things. So what could really happen in King and also in Walsh, and there are others, is that judges may end up dismissing charges against potentially culpable criminal defendants because the police didn't do their job properly, and they're trained and should be trained on how to do it properly. And there's the whole law of the prosecutorial questionability in my mind as well.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of conversation that came up about data in Brian Walsh's case and the collection of that data, specifically to the phone data and the Google searches he made on his son's iPad, which is absolutely insane. I think they're still also going to have some problems with the fact of if that becomes a problem, the DNA evidence, I mean, there was blood all in the basement. There were tarps that were bought. There was a hacksaw. I mean, this guy made stop at Home Depot. And I think they're still going to have, I think his defense team is still going to have a lot of issues with that, even though if this gets botched on the data. And that's really what they've been pointing to lately. We've been seeing articles, and he's going to be back in court in August. He's got two almost back-to-back dates, something that I'll be following, obviously, and I'm sure everybody will be, because that's going to be a pretty crazy case if it comes to trial. But my whole point is, that was a lot of things like, oh, well, they screwed up the data collection, this and that. Yeah, but I think they're still going to have a lot of issues with the DNA evidence, because it is pretty prominent all over that basement. My opinion, look, and I think the guy did it. You're not going out and buying hacksaws and taking drives after this alleged crime to different dump sites, and it just, to me, it has footprints all over it that this guy's most likely guilty. So
yeah.
And then just to the point, I just saw someone in here and said, Proctor needs to flip. It's not going to happen. That guy is so arrogant. He thinks he's above all of this. He literally in his brain thinks that he did no wrong. Oh, I apologize, but this really didn't affect the way that this investigation was. And it was done in Karen Reed's case, and it did. I mean, to Nan's point, it did. And this guy is so above himself, and he's fighting to get his job back. And it's just kind of at this point, you need to bury your head in the sand and go away. That's my opinion in all of this. But back up to Miles King's case today. So there was a hearing today, and Proctor didn't show up. It says King's defense said Proctor was subpoenaed to attend the hearing, but did not show. King's attorney expressed frustration over his absence. Quote, apparently he thinks he's above the law. He was served in hand, and he was told to be here in the morning. Instead, his attorney showed up and said he left on vacation on Saturday. The vacation, I understand, was planned a year before. Assistant District Attorney Alan Lally, who was also involved in prosecuting the Karen Reed case, testified on Monday's hearing. He noted that he had repeatedly requested search warrant materials for Proctor, from Proctor for King and Gardner's case, but did not receive them. That's a problem. Quote, did you ever have another case other than Mr. King and Mrs. Gardner's case where a state trooper didn't give you search warrants that you've been asking for since before the indictment? And Adam Lally said, not that I recall. No. I'd say that's probably an issue, right?
And maybe just a little. I mean, these cases just keep on giving. You could definitely find an issue with every single thing that is going wrong here, Brian. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to mention to you, I think it's very unique and special that you have a law enforcement expert on your panel tonight, mixed with a lawyer. I'm very honored to be here, but your channel is so great because of, in my opinion, various reasons, but this is the type of conversation I think as an audience member, which I more frequently am, want to hear. It's from someone who knows all the intricacies of the law enforcement issues mixed with a little bit of law, and then plus all of your good questions and very involved and back and forth interactions with us. I just want to mention that. I wanted to start your show with that, and I forgot.
I appreciate that. I think we do one hell of a show here. I've always liked the dynamic. We have two experts in their respective fields. And like I said, I've said it multiple times on this show. I can't thank the both of you enough. I think you give so much value back to this community of people that are very curious about the things that go on in our state, in relation to the laws and to these cases. And we can pick these apart, give our opinions. People can agree or not agree, and we can have this civil discussion with the chat. And that's what I love about this, is that we can just do this, put our own opinions out there, and people can agree and not agree. So I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to this grand jury leak. And I got questions because I read a couple of articles here, and I'm unsure because the way that these articles read, if this really did have something to do with Karen Reed's case, and I can't wait to hear both of your opinions on this. Let me read a little bit of some of these articles to everybody. So ABC News back on July 15th reported, grand juror, this is the headline. Actually, you know what? I'll just share my screen with everybody just so we can all see it. So grand juror in Karen Reed case charged with leaking information. And we'll go down here. It says a woman who served on the grand jury as part of a high-profile investigation into Karen Reed was acquitted of murder charges last month in the death of her boyfriend, agreed to plead guilty to federal charges. She leaked information from the secret proceeding, according to a court document filed Tuesday. Jessica Leslie agreed to plead guilty to a charge of criminal contempt that accused her of willingly disobeying court rules against disclosure in the grand jury's information. Leslie disclosed, quote, the names of various witnesses appearing before the grand jury and the substance of their testimony and other evidence presented to the grand jury, all while she said information was under seal and not subject to disclosure, federal prosecutors said. Now, this is what I keep seeing in these articles. They give you all that information, and then we always get this point, and this is the most right here. While the charging document does not specify that Leslie was a grand juror in the Reed case, sources confirmed the case to ABC News. I got questions.
I remember when you posted that day, you were like, I've got questions, because it did come out pretty early on that the Boston Globe was reporting it as a Karen Reed matter, and now ABC News. So, and then we have the intervening commentary from Aidan Carney, who says this has to do with the CDL license scandal. So my short answer is I'm not sure. However, it would be reckless for the Boston Globe and ABC to be reporting on it and tying it to the Karen Reed case if they didn't have good sources, as you guys say up there. So I really don't know. I mean, it's the same grand jury. They would have heard evidence for both, presumably both matters, the Karen Reed case and the CDL license scandal. So it's sounding like, I guess we'll have to wait to find out. I mean, federal grand jury proceedings are, I mean, they're completely supposed to be kept within, a very close-knit group, kept secret. There's a reason for that. And, her sentencing was minimal. So I really don't know the gravity of what she did and what she disclosed, but I don't know the answer to it.
Todd, what do you think?
Well, I can tell you this.
Uh-oh.
All of the troopers involved in the CDL scandal are friends of mine. I know every single one of them. Misfortunate. Gary Sidick was the sergeant, was the greater beneficiary out of all of those issues. But as far as, the leaking of information and, and again, I'm just kind of following the story to see what else comes out as well. If there's more to this, as we've seen, typical Karen Reed, first trial, second trial, it just keeps giving. So if there's more and it's a much greater story, it'll continue to provide more information.
And this is where I kind of look at this too. And I just want to remind everybody, I saw a couple super chats again, and just to keep this flowing, we'll do them at the end of the show. I don't want to be disrespectful to my panel and also not disrespectful to the people that are super chatting, but we'll get to those at the end. Let me get to my greater point here. We heard a lot about, the FBI is not looking at this anymore. They've gone away. We've heard it from Hank Brennan, made several quotes, I think, just after, or even maybe just after Karen Reed's retrial. I think he might even made one during the trial as well, too. I can't remember because there's been so much information flying around. But here we have this little minor thing. Maybe someone said something. Could this be kind of a tap by the FBI to say, yeah, we're still hanging around. We're still looking at things. I see Nan shaking her head. I see Todd
Yes, I
smiling.
make myself glitch. We wouldn't have a show, guys, without Nan glitching or getting knocked off altogether. Yes, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. The feds have not gone anywhere. I will fight anyone to the death if they disagree with me on that. No, but they're still looking, and this was a federal grand jury. The feds are still looking. This is a little nod to that. I also believe if I were to really be pressed, like on your last question, Brian, and if I had to commit to what did she disclose and did it have to do with the Karen Reed case, I have a suspicion that Ms. Leslie, whatever. Yeah, I don't know if that's her last name or her
Leslie. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Ms. Leslie probably shared information on both. You know, what's the saying? Loose lips sink ships. So I think she probably was a little chatty with people and did not take her obligation as a juror and her oath seriously, and probably yip yap to somebody about it, whether it was someone very close tied to the CDL matter or to the Karen Reed case, whether it was prosecutors who would have been at least limitedly possibly involved in the federal grand jury, possibly proceeding, or the McAlberts. But I have a feeling this is a hybrid of both matters and possibly more. I have not seen in writing it's strictly tied to the CDL scandal, which I'm very interested in learning more about while I'm thinking about it. I want to learn more about that. Maybe Todd and I can chat offline.
Just a follow up on, again, the way the feds work. Let's use the P. Diddy scenario as an example. His home was raided by the feds, and it was months and months later before he was indicted. So again, have they gone away? A betting man would not take that bet.
I mean, you got to look into this, right? There's no answer to what happened to John O'Keefe. I mean, it's obvious now that Karen Reed didn't kill him. She's been fully acquitted of that. So why wouldn't the feds look at this and reopen that case? The feds don't have to tell anybody what they're doing.
They never do.
Until they knock on your door.
They just show up and, like Todd said, they just knock on your door. We got a couple of questions here. I mean, I would think, and again, I would think that they would be out there still looking, watching, listening, and diving deep into this, because there's still a million unanswered questions in the murder of John O'Keefe. And again, I said this all around, and when I heard this, I went, "Oh,
you did."
They'd be tapping to let everybody know we're still around the neighborhood, folks. We ain't going away.
I also want to add that when a criminal defendant is acquitted, and I know that Karen got tagged with an OUI, but when a criminal defendant is acquitted in a case like this, and there really are no other cases like it with all of the nooks and crannies of it, but when a criminal defendant is acquitted on such serious charges, and where there is a clear pathway to a conspiracy and third-party culprits, I want not only the feds to still be looking at this, I want the prosecutor to still be looking at it. So even though I think any future potential criminal prosecution of anyone else, let's just say it was Brian Albert, let's all be fanciful this evening. I mean, it's completely hampered because of the strength at which and the no limits to which the prosecution went after Karen. But any future criminal defense or, criminal prosecution of someone like Brian Albert, for example, it's been hindered, it's been hampered, it's been jeopardized. But doesn't everyone who's a taxpayer up there want the prosecutor to really start looking into it? They won't, but they should. And the feds certainly, they're not going to sit here and root around for who really did kill John O'Keefe, but they are going to want to root around and look at all of the things that were missed or hidden in the Karen Reed case, all of the cover up. Plus, they're watching the Miles King case now. They were watching, in my opinion, they were watching Lally today. They're following the Brian Walsh case. They're following Sandra Birchmore's case. It's all an intricate and very deceptive web of lies. So I'm hoping somebody in law enforcement above Michael Morrissey is really doing their job here.
When grand juries, what do they call it, come together, do they hear multiple cases, or are they just specifically on one case?
That depends jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Usually in the jurisdictions I'm familiar with, and I heard it was the case in the Commonwealth. I only heard it secondhand, but grand juries will convene for generally a period of 18 months, and they'll usually meet, some of them meet once a week, some of them meet twice a month, some of them meet once a month, but it's a longer time commitment, and they will hear multiple cases presented to them. And you know, they could come one day and hear things, for example, on the CDL license scandal, and they could come another day and hear things on Karen Reed. It's a cornucopia of what's presented to them, and usually it boils down to witness and prosecutor availability.
Todd, Todd, any experience with that?
Yeah, it's probably more efficient that way, where you've assembled a panel, 18 or so jurors for the grand jury, and in being able to call them back in that length of time really could help you move the docket and some of the different issues before the court.
How long do they usually convene for? Is there a length of time, or how does that usually work?
Well, their whole service can last upwards of 18 months, but are you talking? Yeah, I mean, sometimes they'll wrap up one case in 2 weeks' time. It's hard to measure it because they only usually meet once a week or twice a month or once a month. So it's hard to answer your question, but usually, from my experience, because defense attorneys, they don't go. We don't go to the grand juries. That's another thing that your audience should be cognizant of. When there is a grand jury convening, they only get to hear what the prosecution lays out before it. And possibly if a judge would allow perhaps an attorney for one of the witnesses to come in. But the defense attorneys for the criminal defendants about to be accused, the accused attorneys, they're not allowed in. So they get to only hear one side of the story, which is why in Miles King's matter, it was important, because that's an important fact, because from what I understood happened in that case, the prosecutor at that grand jury presented 6 search warrants and their related supporting documents, the affidavits and the like. And now, as Mr. King has his own attorney, Rosemary Scapicchio, she now has had only 1.5 of those search warrants, as she's been defending him after he got indicted. And she's like, what's going on here? How did that grand jury have 6? And I have 1.5 affidavits. Those affidavits and those search warrants are so important. He has a constitutional right to them. His attorney can question witnesses on them. His attorney can explore many investigative avenues with those search warrants. So she is absolutely prejudiced, meaning Mr. King is absolutely prejudiced by the failure to hand them over. And just so we all understand, it did come out today under oath from the one Adam Lally that he didn't even realize that he didn't hand them over until 2025.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, 4 years. 4 years later, 2025, he realized, oopsie, I didn't hand these over. And he is now blaming Proctor for it. It's a little subtle. There's some soft shoeing going on.
Yeah. All right, Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the that's why they call him Lunchbox. He's always out to lunch. But the thing, Todd, is this cutting corners? Is it laziness? What is it with Proctor? I mean, we even saw this during Karen's case with search warrants and documentation that should have been done, that was done, 18, 6 months later, 8 months later. And what is this with this guy?
There at times, Brian, the collection of evidence can change your narrative, right? So if you have a theory and you're running with a theory and you have collected evidence, that then may shift the credibility of that theory or present new evidence to lead the investigation in a different direction, then therein lies your misconduct, right?
Yep.
So if I hold this back, but I present 3/4 of what I've investigated, then that all fits my narrative.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Super scary stuff. Well, hopefully this guy never gets a gun and a badge again and can never serve here on any department ever again. I mean,
And in addition to that, Brian, from what I heard today come out of Adam Lally's mouth, he should be out of a job, in my opinion. He has exhibited tremendous ethical violations, in my opinion, as a prosecutor. He has failed to disclose critical evidence. He has not exercised all reasonable efforts to follow up with law enforcement to make sure that he procured and handed over Brady material. He didn't keep good record keeping. He didn't keep good notes. He doesn't have what's called a tickle system where he can follow up on things that weren't provided. He testified today that he had asked Proctor at least asked verbally Proctor several times for these search warrants and related materials and just never followed up. So he should be out. And if it's not an out of a job, he might be out of a law license, in my opinion.
oof. Brutal stuff. All right, let's do this. I got to pause for my sponsor about a minute and 22 seconds. So everybody get a sip of your water. And then when we come on the flip side of my little sponsor spot, we're going to get into Sean Paul Reyes that has a channel, The Long Island Audit. And he actually just had an incident as a journalist going to Sergeant Brian Fahey. He's a Connecticut, I keep saying Massachusetts because we're here. Connecticut state trooper, and had an incident just the other day. And we're going to go through that. We'll play through the video. And I cannot wait to hear Todd and Nan's opinion on what went down. So let's just pause here for a second. We'll be right back. Need a break from modern life? We'll travel back in time to the Star Drive-In. That's East Taunton's iconic retro hotspot. Fun for the whole family. Enjoy great food, entertainment, and timeless memories. They got free community events all season long, including movies under the stars, live music and tailgating, Jeep meets classic car shows and bike nights. While you're there, indulge in over 100 flavors of soft serve, 80 flavors of Bliss and Gifford's hard ice cream, plus a rotating selection of 10 flavors of Dole Whip. The Star Drive-In is not your average fast food place. Everything is made fresh to order using quality ingredients. Fresh seafood is delivered daily, and pizza dough made twice a day for maximum freshness. I love their pizza. The Star Drive-In, where food, fun, and family memories never go out of style. They're conveniently located at 205 Myrick Street in East Taunton. That's exit 16 off Route 140. Make sure to visit their website or follow them on Facebook for their latest menus and upcoming events. And hey, while you're there, say hi to Erica and her team. And if you mention LTL at the register, you'll receive 10% off your entire purchase. That's the Star Drive-In in East Taunton. It's the most iconic retro hotspot. All right, we're back from our... How'd I do? How'd I do?
You did great, except you've made me really hungry. Every time I hear that, I miss sugar and I miss carbs. But it sounds like a great place to go. If it's not too far from where I'm familiar going in Massachusetts,
It's not.
Great. I cannot wait to go next time I'm up.
We're gonna go down there. Erica Madden is an amazing human being, and I'm so glad that I've got to partner with her on this. She's going to be sponsoring me for the next 3.5 months. So Erica, if you're watching, I appreciate you. I love the Star. She's very unselfish. She did tons of fundraising for Karen Reed, lent her facility to have people come up. We did craft fairs. We did food nights. I think they did music. They had events where we came out and spoke and just, it was so great to do that. She's so unselfish and donated a lot of money to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. So Erica Madden is an unsung hero in all of this. And, I highlighted her just a couple of weeks ago. She reached out to me and we made this partnership happen. So Erica, I love you. I love the Star. And you all should love the Star. Please, if you're in and around the area of East Taunton, you all know where it is. Go frequent the Star. And listen, if you just say LTL at the window, she's going to give you 10% off your total order. I mean, why wouldn't you take that up right now with the heat that we've been having to have ice cream and a burger and pizza? The pizza's amazing. And it was a great partnership. It's a lot of fun. I did that in one take.
Wow, good for you.
Impressive.
I did not cut that. I did that in one take.
I just wanted to echo a sentiment from Jason Broyles that he made on your show the other day, where he had said that, I think he said it, you might have said it, Brian. One of you said, hey, some businesses have taken a lot of flack when they've taken a position on the Karen Reed case. And, kudos to Erica Madden, who was supportive of Karen Reed and the movement. I hope to meet her one day. And now you're making me think that next time I'm up, maybe I can let people know I'm going and I'm buying. I'd love to meet people there and just get some people reunited and eat good food and go to a great spot.
It's fun. It's really a lot of fun there. So
like
Erica, if you're watching, thank you. I appreciate it. And I put that together. I put the music together, the production. I literally did it in one take. I wrote the script. Eric and I, tweaked it a little bit, and that was it. So if anybody's looking for voice work or they're looking to sponsor their business, they can reach out to me at Let's Talk Live Podcast at gmail.com, and we can make that happen. All right, let's talk about Sean Paul Reyes. Long Island Audit has a YouTube channel. One thing that I want to commend Sean on before we get into this story is I appreciate his coverage of the correctional officers that had been charged in Marcy Correctional Institution. And if anybody doesn't know about that, that is the murder, and I am saying murder, the murder of inmate Robert Brooks, where basically what happened is at the Marcy facility, these correctional officers do wear body cams, but they didn't think that their body cam turned on that day or that night. And they did. And we captured, I think it was about an hour long video of the beating and murder of Robert Brooks. Todd and I have actually gone through that video here on my channel, and they've all rightfully so now have been brought to justice. And they have, a bunch of them have cases pending. I believe there were 9. 1 or 2 of them have pled. And, the ringleader, and I forget his last name, and his name is slipping me right now. He was the one that did the most damage to Robert Brooks, and he feels that he's going to take this to a jury trial and win. And I can't wait for that guy to go down. But I just want to commend Sean for doing that and keeping some eyes on that, because it got me interested in it, and I thought it was something relative that we needed to talk about on this channel and go through. And I appreciate Todd taking the time and going through that video with me. It was very, very brutal video to watch. I never want to watch it again. So that's where we're at. But let's talk about Sean Paul Reyes. Hang on one second here. Let me just pause. Let me see. So anyway, he had a incident. He showed up as a journalist, like he is. He's a First Amendment auditor. He goes out and audits facilities. He has the right to do this. We have the right to do this if it's something that we want to do and to make sure that our government is running correctly. He's had an ongoing case with a Connecticut state trooper. His name is Brian Fahey, and I think it's been ongoing for about 2 years. And they've had some incidences when he showed up at barracks or at the headquarters and asked for FOIA requests or asked to speak about allegedly Brian Fahey's overtime scandal, where he's essentially been put to desk duty, but he's earned, I think he said in about a year, about $80,000 in overtime. So it's kind of hard to figure out how we're getting all this overtime sitting at a desk. So Sean wants answers, and he has every right to do that as a journalist. So the other day, he went out to Brian Fahey's house to knock on the door like any journalist has the right to do. He brought his box truck, which is kind of cool. I think it's kind of neat. He actually went out and bought this advertising box truck. And, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Turtle Boy, Aiden Carney, and he's just kind of doing what he does in the state of Connecticut. But we're going to play through this video. If you all haven't seen it, I'm sure you all have, because it essentially went viral. I talked a little bit about it the other day with Jason Broyles on my channel on Sunday, but I can't wait to hear Todd and Nan's take on this. So let me cue up the video. I know that was a long intro into this case.
That's okay. It's worth it.
And we're just going to speed up. So now Sean is going to approach Sergeant Fahey's home, and we'll go through this video and break it down. And he basically said, as coming into the property, there were no trespassing signs posted. So he came into the property, and we're going to see the door knock here. He does have a camera, and he has a cameraman with him as well. Let me turn on the caption so everybody can hear. And here we go.
There aren't any no trespassing signs. We're just coming in peace to ask some questions.
And Todd, I'll pause this because I know you have a lot to.
Oh, I'm currently being recorded. His Ring camera said.
All right, let's talk about this first knock, Todd, because we were talking about this in the green room before we came on. So he knocks on the door and does what?
He steps away from the door. That's a very critical first piece of this. It shows that Mr. Reyes is not being antagonistic. It shows that he's there to exercise his journalistic rights, and he has given Sergeant Fahey that space to be able to think, process who's here on my property. And I don't want to get ahead of the video, but when he gives get off my property, he complies.
Yeah. Asking what was blurred out. I think this has, I remember someone talking about this in another video. It has something in relation to the family. And I believe he's just blurring it out for privacy.
Probably sorry, Brian. It's probably
Yeah.
one of those signs that says like the Faheys with the number,
Right.
the address number. So
Right.
I think it was very respectful of Sean to block it out here. That's professional journalism right there.
For sure. All right, here we go.
Can I help you?
Hey, Sergeant Fahey, how are you?
You gotta get off my property. You're supposed to no trespassing.
Nope, there is no posted sign.
Yeah,
There's no
right
problem.
here.
Do you have any? Let's go. Do you have any comment on the allegations that you
Get off
are?
my property
I am
right
moving. Do you have any comment on the allegations that you are receiving?
Okay, we'll pause here. If anybody wants to jump in, please do.
I mean, go for it, Todd.
Yeah, this, Brian, you opened up this segment with these two having history. Perfect opportunity for Sergeant Fahey to stay inside the house. He retreated. He went back in the house. That was the right thing to do on his part. We are going to see something different than that decision. But for the life of me, I can't imagine that someone within the Connecticut State Police didn't advise him to keep his distance. If Sean shows up again, or if you have some interaction with him, we advise you to keep your distance. I can't, for the life of me, I can't imagine that he was not advised that.
Very interesting point, Todd. All right, here we go.
Couldn't even get the question out, ladies and gentlemen. He was so angry. Couldn't even get the question out. He says that there's no trespassing signs. Let's see. Let's see if there's no trespassing
Sean is
signs.
leaving.
What a coward. He can assault me.
Being told what was directed by the person that owns this property. He is retreating. He is leaving. And in my mind, this is where the situation is going to get escalated, because the officer, the trooper, is going to re-engage now. The way that I look at it, and I'm kind of getting ahead of the video here too, is that you're going to hear some things like, oh, you threatened to kill me and my family. If you felt so threatened by this, then why did you come out? Why not just create that barrier, a wall, a door, stay on the phone with 911 and say, hey, this guy's now leaving. I told him to leave. He's walking up my property. I have eyes on him. I do have my pistol in my hand just because, or just in case. But now he's going to re-engage and come outside with his pistol.
Brian,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say also, this kind of equates to the type of legal analysis that would be employed with self-defense. So someone can be exculpated from criminal liability if they present a successful self-defense defense. They say this person was aggressing towards me and I exercised due force back to protect my house or my dwelling. But in this case, and in self-defense cases, which are always hotly contested, you have Mr. or Sergeant, whatever he is, Trooper Fahey, receding back into the dwelling. Sean is receding consistently, as Todd pointed out, from the dwelling. He doesn't stop. He is moving backwards, and at some point he turns and starts properly, I might add, facing Trooper Fahey because he was presented with a weapon. But Fahey is the aggressor. He could have done just as you said, Brian, go into the dwelling, say, I have a weapon. This person isn't leaving. They're showing signs of not leaving. I feel threatened, or he has violated some private property sign. All of these things could have been employed properly. But you have Fahey, who turned himself again and again into a repeat aggressor. That's not going to bode well during an ultimate prosecution of this matter. I know there's criminal charges pending and or a civil rights action, which is anticipated. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Brian,
Yep.
Can you pause right there?
Yep.
Please go back to the video. But
Of course.
yeah, to visualize what Nan just articulated, which way is Sean's back facing?
To the house.
To the house. He's not backpedaling.
Yep.
He's not antagonizing.
He's leaving.
To Nan's point about the analysis, he has made a cognitive decision that they're exiting the property. His back is to the house. Right now, obviously he could hear, but he can't see Fahey. So this just shows that he is moving in a direction to be non-confrontational.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he had a camera, really.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into that as this kind of gets on because I want to talk about that as well. All right, let's play a little bit more here.
Broad daylight while receiving taxpayer money. But the minute an independent journalist comes to his home,
Still leaving.
and he's probably going to try and get me unlawfully arrested now. As you could see, I moved back his camera that says you're currently being recorded. Film this guy. You're crazy. What do you think I'm doing, you psycho? You have a weapon in your hand? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't have any weapons. I'm a journalist. What do you think I'm doing, you psychopath? What do you think I'm doing?
Now, get off
What
my
do you
property
think I'm
right
doing?
now.
What do you think
Get
I'm
off my
doing?
property right now.
I'm off your property.
This is my property.
Well, do you see me
All
not
the way
moving?
to the cul-de-sac.
Calm down.
Get off my
that gun out
fucking
of your hand.
property.
Get that gun out of
Get
your
off
hand,
my
you psycho.
fucking property.
Get that gun
I'm
out
a
of your hand, you
goddamn
psycho.
Connecticut State Trooper.
I don't care who you are.
Trespassing
I don't
on
care
my
who you are.
fucking
I don't
property.
care who you
Get
are.
off my fucking
I don't
property.
care who you are.
Right now.
You spit in my
Get off
face.
my property
You're
right
going
now.
to jail now.
Get
Look
off
at
my
this.
property
Look
right
at this. He spit in my
Get off my
face.
pro-
You said you're
right
going
in
to
my
jail.
face. I'm spitting as I'm talking to you.
No, you spit
Get
in
off
my
my
face.
property
You spit in
right
my face.
now.
You spit in my face.
Get off my
You're
property
going to jail.
right now.
I'm going.
Get off my
I've
property
been going.
right
Since the
now.
moment you told me.
Get off
That's
my
not how criminal
property
trespass
right
works.
now.
Psycho.
Get
You're
off
a
my
psycho,
property
bro. You're,
right
look at
now.
the gun in his hand. This guy's
Goddamn right.
crazy.
I'm a Connecticut State Trooper.
I don't care what shit who you
are
are.
trespassing on my property.
That doesn't matter. You can't
threatened
break
to
the law.
kill me.
I didn't.
You threatened to
You
kill
lied.
me online.
Right? No, I
Get
did
off my
not.
fucking
You're a
property
liar.
right
You
now.
are a liar.
Right now.
Look, see the big
Get off
beautiful
my
billboard
property.
truck? It's all being recorded.
I don't care.
It's all being. I
Get
know you
off
don't
my
care
property
because you don't face any
right now.
consequences.
Get
You
off
don't
my
face any
property
consequences.
right now.
Don't
This is
spit
the
in my
biggest
face.
mistake you ever
No,
made.
no, it's not.
This
It's
is
the biggest mistake
you
you
ever made.
No,
Get
it's
off
not.
my property right now.
It's not the biggest mistake
Get
I
off
ever
my
made.
property right
It's
now.
not the biggest mistake. It's the
Get
biggest
off
mistake. You
my
don't spit in my face.
I
You
didn't spit in your face.
You
I
disgusting.
was spitting
You
on
dis-
you.
Yeah.
Why I'm yelling at you to get off my
Yeah.
property right
Get
now.
off. I'm off your property. Now what?
Can I go
Wow.
first? Can I go first, please? I know I'm not a law enforcement officer or a retired one. Okay.
Ladies first.
Thank you. All right. Because I even picked up a couple things I didn't pick up previously.
Oh, I have a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nan.
All right. So I'm gonna leave like the heavy duty police analysis to Todd. So it's all
Yeah.
yours, my friend. But here's a couple of comments on this. One,
Ooh.
as Mr. or whatever, Trooper Fahey is coming at Sean. I forget Sean's last name. I'm going to call
Reyes, John Paul Reyes.
Oh, Reyes, Mr.
Yes.
Reyes. Okay.
Yep.
So as Trooper Fahey is coming at Mr. Reyes, and I know I don't want to get ahead of your video, but there's going to be an issue as to spit, the excretion of it, and whether there's fault for it. But I just saw that in Fahey's rant, and he's get off my property right now coming at him, he literally steps into Mr. Reyes, which some may think this is weak, but I had a case involving this years back. That is assault. So I know we're getting ahead of, what ultimately happens and as far as that day is concerned and with the spit and the like, but there was an assault, an unlawful touching of a criminal nature. I'd have to dig into the Massachusetts statutes, but that is Connecticut.
Yep,
it's all of every.
We always say Massachusetts because we're always covering Massachusetts cases.
But I'm telling you, that could be assault too. That would have been enough, in my opinion, for there to have been some type of citation or arrest. The other couple points I wanted to make are, as far as Fahey saying you just made the biggest mistake that you ever made, something like that. You just made the biggest mistake.
Ooh.
That's a threat, by the way. Now, I'm not saying that that's criminally culpable. I'm saying you have a Connecticut state or a goddamn Connecticut state trooper telling a civilian who was lawfully on the property, I might add. He was lawfully on the property. My understanding is there are no trespassing signs. I'll hit the point of private road signage in a moment, but Mr. Reyes was lawfully on the property and lawfully receding from the property. But when you have a trooper saying you just made the biggest mistake that you ever made, that is a threat. And in no way, shape, or form could that have been misunderstood. Do we know what the threat is? We don't know what the threat is, but I mean, we now know how the story at least has unfolded to now. And Mr. Reyes has been arrested, as was his cameraman. I forgot my third point, but I just want to make one point on what I heard was, at least in some chats, might have been your chat, Brian, somewhere I saw that there is a private road or no access. This is a private road sign that may be posted on this kind of unusual driveway. I would make just two little points. One, that type of signage, if it exists, that it's a private road, would not in any way constitute a no trespassing signage necessary to preclude or prevent anyone from being permitted on the property. That they're not the same. If it's a private road, it simply means that people can't just drive down it like it's a public road. The other point is, if anyone feels very passionately about this, or if Mr. Reyes or any of his supporters or his attorney ultimately watch this, I would encourage anyone to make a deeds, DEEDS search for the property records of Trooper Fahey, because it's such an unusual parcel of land where you have one access road that allegedly is private, but yet it appears to shoot off to two residences. I don't know, and I don't think any of you know, and I dare say Trooper Fahey doesn't know who actually owns that private road. And it may very well be the other residence to the left of the video. Also, if someone is requesting the deeds records, you would want to look into what are called easements. E-A-S-E-M-E-N-T-S. Easements are where, hey, one person owns the property, but they, through a legally recorded document or through custom and practice, lend access to property to the other person who needs it. Think of like, I need to go down this path. My house is on the other side of it. Can I cut through legally? Can I have permission and easement to go through your property? That may make a very big difference ultimately in a criminal prosecution or an ultimate civil prosecution that Mr. Reyes may want to file. Whose property was it? So those are my points. Go ahead, Todd.
Well said, as always, man. I think as far as the property boundaries go, it's probably that, the easement is certainly an issue, but also common use, right? So just based on the layout of the residential properties there coming in off the cul-de-sac, there's only but so much land in order to give everyone, their own driveway. So that's that one point which Dan broke down very, very eloquently. Okay, so in Massachusetts, spitting on another is considered assault and battery. Let me break that down for you. In Massachusetts, Brian, if I got in your face and just yelled and with rage and antagonism, but I didn't touch you, that's considered simple assault.
Wow.
If I touch you, that's the battery, right? So the spitting in this case, again,
The Hawk 2.
the Hawk 2 of it,
The
that
Hawk 2.
ends up being the battery in Massachusetts. In Connecticut, there's another charge that is actually called threats. And under threats, it would capture the spitting on in what we saw in Fahey's misconduct there. And also there's another level of threats that's actually a felony. So there's other remedies that Sean Reyes could pursue other than assault, because the nuance in the language doesn't afford him to use that as a potential charge. We were talking offline in the green room that Fahey is way overly emotionally invested in whatever is going on between him and Mr. Reyes. And, I do a lot of work with investigative journalists here in Massachusetts on all the main stations. I've never ran into someone that will sit down and take the time and share with you their misgivings. So, again, I'm not faulting Sean. He's well within his rights to make the approach. Just as a Jehovah's Witness, a Mormon, anyone else walk in the neighborhood, Girl Scouts, right? It is what it is. Once he was given the get off my property, he complied and started moving away. And so I think Mr. Reyes did exactly what he was supposed to do. He was off on the nuances of the law. The police officer, and again, don't want to get ahead of this, but we'll hear the explanation, the poorly broken down explanation by one of the responding police officers about the law. But that being said, Fahey didn't do himself any justice here in helping his situation. That's for sure.
How's this as a conduct as a member, an active member of the Connecticut State Troopers? How do they deal with this conduct, Todd? And does this affect his position? I haven't heard of anything of that he's been suspended or anything like that. What message are you sending to the public when you're seeing something like this?
Yeah, I would think there would be a follow-up investigation, Brian. And again, keep in mind that internal affairs or any investigation, it's an administrative action within the police department. Maybe we'll see something that surfaces. Again, this thing's going to be living in the courts for a while based on charges. But I can tell you this, I'm 1,000% sure the charges against Sean Reyes will be dropped if they haven't been dropped already.
Wow. That's a big percentage. And I know, Brian, that you were discussing on your show on the Sunday 617 with Jason Broyles the fact, and I'd love to hear Todd's commentary on this, the fact that Mr. Reyes then shifted his body from walking away from the dwelling to facing Trooper Fahey because a gun was presented. And you and Jason Broyles, Brian, went into like a big analysis of, hey, now there's a weapon involved and you're pointing it at me and I'm not turning my back on you. Like I wouldn't, I know you wouldn't. Do you have any thoughts, Todd, on that? I mean, it did appear clearly that Mr. Reyes continued his stride and was receding from the property. He never changed course. And even though he was having a confrontation with Trooper Fahey, he consistently moved backwards. What are your thoughts about that, Todd?
So great question. So the optics of it all, one, shows that Sean Reyes was retreating. He was given an exit order to get off his property, and he complied with that. It also shows that Fahey was the aggressor. It shows that Fahey could have stopped at any point on that 300-foot driveway and projected his voice, but stopped movement and encroachment on Sean Reyes. That didn't happen. And then we just put the cherry on top with the firearm in his hand, which I was sharing with Brian, is never a tactical decision. That is never anything tactically trained in law enforcement to be able to walk and engage in someone in that manner. So I just want to put that out there and take that off. You know, a police officer's trained to do that. But the bottom line is Sean Reyes retreated the whole time.
And can I ask one more question, Todd? I don't think I've heard this question before, but I don't even know if we could find out the answer to this, but would it be appropriate for Trooper Fahey to be using his state-issued firearm, if it was, at his personal dwelling to protect himself or those within his dwelling? Now, again, I don't want to gaslight here. We don't know. I don't know if the police would have had a practice to document the firearm in some fashion with serial number or photograph it. I don't know if it was issued by the state of Connecticut. But I was just curious if there's any nuance here, because it sure appeared to me that Trooper Fahey, who purportedly operates a desk job, who purportedly was not working at the time and possibly might have been using his law enforcement issued weapon. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Again, great question, Nan. Let's hypothetical scenario. Let's say there was a shooting. The fact that he was off duty with a department issued firearm would not be detrimental. What you have to look at now is the privilege of being on your property and defending making the claim that you're defending your family in your dwelling, but now you're in this common use area. That privilege stops at some point. Once he comes off, the further he gets away from his front porch, that argument begins to become weaker.
It's very interesting because I only thought of this now as we're talking, and this may be something to look into, something for Mr. Reyes to pursue, and also for the Connecticut State Police to look into as well, because that would be a checks and balances and a measurement of Trooper Fahey's competency and suitability or fitness to carry a firearm, in my opinion. If he's going to cross proverbial lines with a department issued firearm, and again, to everyone, I don't know if it was department issued, might have been his private weapon, but to use it in the manner in which he used it beyond certain points in time or boundaries or points of demarcation, it might be something to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's my thoughts. I think that if this was ABC News, this would be a different situation. I think that Sergeant Fahey would have came out and just said, I have no comment, went back inside his house. If ABC News didn't retreat, he might have called 911 in a nice way and say, hey, I got a news truck out here. They don't want to leave. Can you just roll up and just have them leave my property? Thank God there were cameras here in this situation, because this obviously could have turned very deadly. Sean Paul Reyes could have lost his life. And I think that, in my opinion, I think that Fahey was looking for every opportunity to do that. And the thing that leads me to believe this, and the scary thing about it, is when he says, this is the most, what did he say? This is the most dangerous thing, or this is the most, what did he say?
The biggest mistake you've ever made?
Mistake you've ever made in your life. That to me would have been kaplow. I shot you and I'm looking over you and you're saying, this is the biggest mistake you've ever made in your entire life. You also saw, and Jason pointed this out the other day, and this was a good observation by him, as Fahey is on the phone and backing Reyes up, he's saying things like, I'm a Connecticut State Trooper, over and over again. He's now saying things like, you threatened me.
Yes.
You threatened me online. You threatened me. Oh, I didn't hawk two in your face. I yelled at you and spit one on you. He's shaping the narrative for the report, for the 911 report. He's shaping the narrative. Thank God there's cameras there to catch all of this. I think Sean Paul Reyes would have been in a very serious situation if this wasn't recorded. And let's just take this right back to the Karen Reed case. What happened? What was the first thing that Sean Paul Reyes said when he walked onto the steps and backed off? Oh, I'm being recorded by the Ring camera footage.
Yeah.
And we know what happened with Ring camera footage right across the street from 34 Fairview. Apparently, it went missing. It didn't record. And I can almost guarantee you, if Sean Paul didn't have a videographer there with him that day and something horribly happened to him, I can almost guarantee you that Ring footage probably would have went missing or didn't record that day.
I
Those
agree.
are just my thoughts on this.
I totally agree. When you and Jason Broyles were saying the other day that it appeared that Trooper Fahey could have angled or would have been angling to shoot Mr. Reyes, who, by the way, everyone's names are not rolling off my tongue this evening. I apologize for that. I was a little taken aback when I heard you both say it. And then I listened to the video again, and I'm like, it's possible. He was definitely backtracking on some of what happened already. He was rewriting in his mind the narrative, the report, justifying the use of force, which, I mean, if you have the best expert on right now to talk about this, I don't find, and I'm not an expert on this, the amount of force to be even used in terms of Trooper Fahey's conduct during this exchange to be proportionate or appropriate. But yeah, I think had there not been cameras rolling, which I had referred to in your chat as probably the best weapon that was present that day, had there not been cameras rolling, you might have had a very different and a very dark ending to this story.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's crazy, right? Let's play through a little bit more of this here.
Now what? Look at the gun in his hand.
That's right, I have a gun in my hand. I'm a goddamn Connecticut State Trooper.
I don't care.
You threatened to kill me
No,
online.
I did
So
not.
I'm protecting myself
No,
and my
I did.
family.
No, I did
Don't
not.
ever fucking come back to my house again.
No problem. I'll stand right here with my billboard.
You go right ahead. Go right
No
ahead.
problem.
I don't
You
care.
spit in my face, you're
Don't
going to
ever
jail.
come back to
You're
my
going to jail.
fucking house
You're
again.
going to jail.
Don't ever
You're
come
going
back to
jail.
my house
It's okay
again.
for you to assault people and break people's property, but I can't ask questions about
You're a
your
fucking
overtime.
liar.
About
You're a
your
fuck-
overtime,
My
$75,000
More than
for a
that, buddy.
desk job.
More than that.
More than that, right? More than that. What a crazy
man.
psychopath.
Sorry, I'm like a dog with a bone. I want to know what that mailbox says, the number. I'm still saying whose property is this, So if anyone's very interested, they should kind of look into who's got access to that road. That impacts all of these different issues.
This is
There's
a good
one mailbox.
Robin asking a great question. Let's go to Todd on this one. Do you think if he wasn't a cop, Reyes wouldn't have been arrested?
Ask it again.
If Fahey wasn't a cop, and let's just
No.
say these are two citizens banging at it, Todd,
Oh.
okay, would Ray have been arrested that day?
No.
Was that the question? That's right. I mean,
Let me
that's the
think.
right answer. Maybe I read it wrong.
Do you think if he wasn't a cop,
Oh.
Reyes would have been arrested? He was ultimately arrested.
Arrested. He
I
was
thought it
ultimately
said
arrested.
wouldn't have been arrested.
Yeah, the responding police officers from the municipality would have said, "Hey, take this out in court. If you've got a grievance, go file, at the clerk's office."
Yeah. And the funny thing about all of this is the 911 call that was placed, by the time Sean would have walked out, which he was retreating, the cops would have been there. Like and you're going to see the cops show up right now. And I want to
He
ask
spit
I
in
want
my.
to ask Todd about the when the officers interact with Sean. I want to see if you felt this was good procedure in this as well.
Face. No, I'm an independent journalist. Get
Now
it
he's
right,
come
buddy.
back. Now Fahey's come back.
Get it
again.
right. I never threatened. He says I threatened to kill him.
It's a-
Ooh, I knocked on your front door. I'll get that 911 call too, buddy. Look at this guy. He probably, I'm a Connecticut State Trooper. Come help me from the camera. Come help me from the guy asking me questions, please, before I shoot him. And I did. And I did.
And Fahey
No, you spit in my face and you're going to jail. And you're going to jail. You're going to jail. You spit in my face and you're going to. It's all right here, buddy. Right here. It's all right here. It's all right here, buddy. Look at these guys. Look. Look.
I mean, this gentleman is so.
I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not doing anything.
True.
He just spit in my face.
Get over here.
Well, I didn't break any laws.
You in a second, okay?
For what? I haven't broken the law. No. But do you have reasonable articulable suspicion I committed a crime? What? What is it? What is it?
I got a call from a trooper.
That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm a journalist. I knocked on the door and asked questions. No, I have no weapons on me.
Weapons on you.
We have a camera of mass destruction. I'm putting my camera down.
Don't move. Don't move until I get backup units. You can put it away.
What's your name?
Excuse me. Officer Romansky says right here. No, just stay right
He
here.
pulled out a gun on me for knocking on the door.
No, you're on his property.
I'm allowed to go on his property and knock on the door. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to learn the law, man.
No.
I'm a journalist. No, you got to learn the law.
Okay. Let's just back
I'm
up.
allowed to ask questions.
Sure.
I am.
So let me tell you why we're here.
What's wrong with you? I'm not doing anything. I have no weapons on me. I have nothing. You couldn't stop. He has the weapon.
Okay. Now let me explain something to you.
Make sure no weapons. He has the weapon.
Recording. Okay. So here's the deal. So here's the disconnect here. Here's the difference. So we get a call from him. He calls 911. Hold on.
I'm not going to speak. I'm letting you speak.
Okay. When you call 911 and say you're
I'm
in
going
a
to record, okay?
disturbance with somebody, we come code 3, like my lights were on.
You wouldn't do this for a citizen.
Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't. You're doing it because he's a state trooper.
No.
That's why. You're doing it because he's a state trooper.
Okay. We do it for citizens every single day. Okay?
Not like this.
Yes, 100%, all the time. If we think there's an active disturbance, then we respond code 3, which means lights and sirens, and we're in an emergency response.
Do you see the spit on my face?
I don't.
You don't see the spit on my face? Well, I have it on camera. He spit in my face. I want him arrested. He spit in my face.
All right.
On camera.
Okay.
I want you to lock him up. He spit in my face. You understand that?
Okay.
If I spit in your face, what would happen to me?
Okay. Here, listen.
I knocked on a door and he spit in my face. You can't do that.
Okay. I got what you're saying. So let's just take steps.
There's spit all over. I'm going to go get DNA test on his spit so you can see it.
Go do what you got to do. Let's find out what happened, the whole story.
All right. I'm going to tell you really quick what happened, okay?
No, tell me. Take it.
Okay. I'm an independent.
On too, so
sure.
good.
I'm an independent
Can I
journalist.
interrupt for 1 minute, Brian?
Yep.
Just a quick interruption. And I can't speak to de-escalation, and I'm sure it's an art and there's a lot of training on that Todd could mention. But don't you just love the manner in which this police officer approached this scene? Lights and sirens, which may have been warranted based on the category of the call response, but the officer was aggressive in how he was handling the matter initially. This is my takeaway. He was very aggressive. You get over there. Do you have any weapons? And I get it. It's so easy to Monday morning quarterback these things. You don't know if someone has a weapon. You get a call from a trooper, fine. But this like immediate rush to who's in the wrong based on this police officer's body language, verbiage, etc., was notable to me. And I interrupted your streaming of the video now because I'm watching now, and now this officer is calmer. Take all of your time you want. Tell me what happened. We'll find out what happened. So it bothers me that there was this immediate presumption that Mr. Reyes and his cameraman were the wrongdoers just because a GD Connecticut State Trooper was the one who placed the call. That's my comment.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Todd.
and as for de-escalation principles, he could have gotten to the calm demeanor a lot sooner.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Also, body language says a lot. This is telling me you're not interested in hearing what I have to say.
Yes, I agree.
And that's
absolutely.
probably why Reyes started to escalate it again. Look, he spit in my face. You're showing this. No, you're not listening to me. He spit in I'm trying to tell you, he spit in my face. I mean, listen, if I come on scene and I'm an officer, I get it. police officer, state trooper or not, I'm probably going to go talk to the guy with the gun first and ask him what's going on. Why do you have a gun in your hand and chasing this guy off your property?
Brian,
All right.
another noteworthy point that an assault not in the presence of a police officer is also not arrestable in Massachusetts. Now, the exception to the rule is domestic violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you have evidence of marks, bruises, those things. That's evidence for the police officers to be able to say, okay, something went on here. Someone's a victim. Someone was the aggressor. But what you would do is you would summons that person into court.
Right.
As opposed to physically place handcuffs on. You'd still charge them, but it would be by means of a summons.
It's very interesting. I wonder what the law says in Connecticut. I want to look into that.
We're going to find out.
This man, as you can see from the video footage right here, assaulted me, stole my camera from me. He was never held accountable. I got a tip as an independent journalist that he is cooking the books when it comes to his overtime. I did some research. He gets $75,000 of overtime a year, and he's a desk sergeant. So I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to follow up on it. I went up here. There's no trespassing signs. I'm very familiar with the law. There aren't any no trespassing signs or anything like that. I went up, knocked on the door. He answered the door. I said, "Do you have any comment?" He said, "Get off my property." I immediately.
I'm going to pause for this because it's such a great comment, and I want both my experts up here to read this comment. Tisha says, "I absolutely love this channel. I learned so much from the three of you, and for that, I want to thank you guys and gals so very much for all that you do." And I'll let my panel guest take this one really quick.
What? I didn't see. Oh, go ahead. I didn't. Was there a question?
No, Tisha, she's making a comment.
Yes.
I
Yes.
absolutely love this channel. I've learned so
Tisha.
much from the three of you, and I want to thank you guys and gals so much for all that you do. You know, that's something that I wanted to do. That's something I wanted to do with the three of us, and we did this through the entire Karen Reed trial because we have such great chemistry, and these shows have been great. And again, to have two best experts, a lawyer and an ex-Mass State Police trooper to get up here and break all this stuff down and talk about it. And I'm just the schmo in the middle that has my, I guess, regular everyday guy or girl opinion to add to this. You know, I'm kind of the water cooler talk where we can hear from both of the experts here, and it's been great. You know, I really enjoy the shows. I enjoy the topics we tackle, and like Todd said at the beginning of the stream, the Karen Reed case is just the gift that keeps on giving. There's just so much stuff, and I'm telling you, we're going to be in this for like another year of this conversations.
I wanted to just say thank you so much for your comment, Tisha. And I have a little secret. I think secretly Todd and I enjoy that there's so many law enforcement things going awry up in New England. So we get a chance to convene regularly to talk about them. I think we like each other a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is what
you're my hero.
Yeah, and this is what Todd does. I mean, Todd teaches these types of classes, de-escalation. He teaches security. You know, this is what he's done through his entire career. He worked alongside with the fire department in arson investigations. You worked at Logan Airport. You were doing security up there, consulting concerning as a state trooper. So he's very versed in all this stuff and the law. And I love when we can get in and kind of break some of these videos down. All right, let's do a little bit more here on Sean Paul Reyes, and then we'll end the stream. Again, I want to thank everybody for being with us today. If this is your first time over here, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and then comment after this video and tell us what you think of our panels. All right, here we go.
Started, and his camera will show that. I immediately, because I know the law, I don't break the law, sir. I immediately started backing up while continuing to ask him questions. He went back inside, closed the door, would have been the end of it. He came back out with his gun in his hand, got inches from my face. No, I would say less than inches from my face, real up to my face, and spit in my face. It's all over my face right here. All this wet is not sweat. He spit in my face as I'm leaving his property, as he asked me to do. Hey, can I just get your name and badge number, ma'am? Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want to know everybody that's here. That's all.
Yeah. I'm Romansky. That's Brion. My sergeant right there. His name is Sergeant Bedard. You can talk with him.
He knows me. I know him. He knows I'm not a threat to him.
Okay.
I'm asking him
I don't know
questions.
that. Okay.
No,
I didn't
he
know
knows that.
you. Okay, I got you. But if somebody came onto your property
And asked the question?
well, so if somebody came onto my property and I didn't know them, then I would be a little upset.
Yeah, that's again shaping a narrative. Here we go, Todd. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's not fact finding. Let Sean tell his story. You did a great job of finally getting to de-escalation. Sean's got a grievance. Let him get his story out. To offer your own opinion is not needed in order to land on all the facts of this case. So again, not part of the investigation.
Are we siding with the blue wall here? Is that what that is, Todd? Is that what's going on?
I am saying that the police officer's interjection is unnecessary and does not help finding the facts of the case. I don't care about your opinion, officer.
Yeah.
It's not warranted. It's not needed. It doesn't help us get to the
It's
facts.
not facts, Todd.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And to that point, I mean, this is kind of something Turtle Boy had commented on. Like, this has nothing to do with Mr. or Trooper Fahey's feelings. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, this isn't about if you come on my property and I don't know who you are or I didn't want you there, but you're lawfully on my property, but I'd be pretty upset if you came on my property. That's ridiculous. That should have nothing to do with any of these types of statutes, in my opinion. So it doesn't lend itself towards fact finding.
Yeah. Let's go up. We'll play a little bit more of this and then we'll skip to kind of the end result of what happens to Sean here. All right, here we go.
And I don't know.
So do you get mad? Do you get mad at a Jehovah Witness?
Well, no.
Do you pull out a gun on a Jehovah
No, I
Witness?
say no, thank you. Please leave.
Right.
Right.
And they leave. Right.
Did you?
Do you pull out your gun?
Did
Yes.
you
And
leave?
do you pull out your gun and spit in their face
Sounds like you're trying to question
as I'm leaving?
as you're leaving.
Right. You can do two things at the same time,
Sure,
officer.
you can do all.
You could do two things at the same
Do
time.
whatever you want. But if somebody came onto my property
Mm.
and asked them to leave, and it sounds like you weren't leaving.
No. You're. This is why I have multiple cameers. He has a camera.
He has his camera
but
on. Like,
but you weren't here. This is you're missing the point.
Okay. do
You're
you
missing
wanna
the
show me
point.
Do you want to show me the footage?
I can show you the footage,
Show me-
but
You got the footage?
wait, I can show you the footage. Go ahead. Actually, you know what? We'll see what he says because I want him to write a report and be a liar and then go to jail for that too. He spit in my face. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to pause here. Again, I feel like it's shaping trying to shape this narrative. This officer shouldn't be intervening like this. You should just be listening. And this is what I love about Sean. He goes, "No, I'm not going to show you or tell you anything. I want to hear his side first because I got it all on video. So when he tells you and writes his report, which he knows is going to be a bunch of baloney, I'm going to show you what really happened." That's a good tactic by Sean to think like that in the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say that was fast thinking. I don't even think I would have thought of that. I would have been like, look at my video. It tells you everything. But, that was smart. Although I think ultimately, I can't remember if this video, he ends up showing the officer or not. I don't remember if he ends up showing
I
it. But,
don't think he does.
Didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
but either way, think of if you've ever gotten into a motor vehicle accident, the officer and the police called, the officer will approach you, say what happened, then approach the other person, say what happened. Here we have this kind of disparate approach to the series of events and the fact finding, and you have the officer probing like, well, it sounds like you didn't retreat. Who's saying it sounds like he didn't retreat? You have Mr. Reyes saying, I left the entire time. Once I
on the 911 call, he said, "I'm leaving right now. I'm
Yeah.
backing up. I'm leaving."
Yeah, and it's very interesting. I'd love to find out ultimately who Trooper Fahey was on the phone with. If there's ultimate quote litigation over this, I'd like to know who Trooper Fahey had been on the phone with because they presumably would have been a witness. I mean, I'm assuming he wasn't using like voice memo to record the encounter, although I'd want that too. But who is the person listening? because he does say, I'm leaving right now, and he consistently left. So I think this responding police officer, I don't know. I'm not loving his approach here. It seems like he's clearly demonstrating that he is lending credence to Trooper Fahey because he's a trooper. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
What was Reyes even charged with?
I can get charges. Hang on. I got him right here, Todd.
Oh, it's right there. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
Let's see. Reyes is charged with first-degree criminal trespass, second-degree breach of peace and voyeurism. Glover, his cameraman, is charged with first-degree criminal trespass, second-degree breach of peace, and voyeurism with malice. That's what they're being charged with, Todd. It was a $75,000. It started out as a simpler bond, but then then they upcharged it all the way up to $75,000. What is it, 10%? So we had to come up with $7,500 to get out.
Yeah, so I'm going to double down. All those charges are going to go away. To answer Elizabeth Roberts' question, how I would have handled it, Mr. Reyes, based on the spitting charges, if you want to take out charges, come to the station. We'll fill out a report and we'll identify the charges and let the court settle it. Sergeant Fahey, did he leave your property when he was asked? Yes. You don't have trespassing. He complied with the order once Fahey told him to get off his property.
Mm-hmm.
In the video clearly would show that. So that's how I would have handled it.
Yeah, Sean's arraignment is on Friday morning in New London, and I'm planning on going there. I just have to find out what courthouse it's at because I think there's multiple courthouses in that area, and I don't want to show up and go, "Hey, I'm here to support," and I'm the only one there, and they're like across the street. So I need to find out because I plan on going to the arraignment. I want to see and get to talk to him in person.
That's great.
And I'm sure he's going to speak. So I just have to find out what actual the address is to the courthouse. I know the time. It's at 10 a.m., but I just don't know where it is in New London. All right, let's go to the end result here, what's going to happen with Sean, and then we'll get final thoughts and wrap up the show. Again, I want to thank both my guests this evening, attorney Nan Gallagher, and we have retired veteran Mass State Police Todd McGhee here. All right, let's go back to the video, and then we'll wrap this one up with a final comment.
Hey, sir, how are you? So is there any updates on, because obviously I want to press charges for him spitting in my face that I showed the sergeant here on camera. So what's going to happen with that?
So we went through the assault statute specifically, and there's nothing that specifically states that spitting on somebody is an assault unless it caused you physical pain. The only thing that assault fits is physical pain. And that's under the exception of if you spit on an officer, then that is when bodily fluids become involved.
So he could spit on me in my face and in my mouth, and that's not against the law?
Circumstances, I'm saying that it doesn't really fit the assault charge.
Got to answer.
Yeah.
So what happened if I spit on you?
Well, then you would get arrested because I'm an officer. You can't spit on an officer because in the assault on an officer charge, bodily fluids are included.
So there is no charge. You're telling me, as a sergeant of the Groton Police Department, you're telling me there is no charge for a grown man spitting in another grown man's face.
Telling you that it doesn't fit assault.
Well, what does it fit? Isn't that your job to find out? What does it fit? Like what crime it is?
Breach of peace, but you're on his property. You interacted. You engaged the
I can't wait
interaction.
for the reaction on
So
this
if
one.
it's a breach of peace, arrest him for a breach of peace.
Well, that's the other issue that we're going down right now. Is you guys are also in violation of a breach of peace.
No.
As well as
I mean, take us both then. Take us both then. It's not
So-
voyeurism. It's not voyeurism to knock on somebody's door. That's not.
It is if he
it's
has
not.
a reasonable expectation of privacy and you invade on his curtilage
No,
and you're recording.
you're wrong.
him-
But do it. Then I will gladly go take the ride. Arrest us both for a breach
All
of
right,
peace.
well, then turn around for me.
Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. This is ridiculous. This is.
All right, let's pause here. Todd, give me your.
Can I just read something for you guys and the
Please
audience?
do.
In Connecticut, threatening someone can lead to charges of threatening in the second degree, a misdemeanor, or threatening in the first degree, a felony, depending on specific circumstances and severity. So here's where the nuance comes in. Threatening in the second degree involves intentionally placing someone in fear of imminent, serious physical injury or threatening to commit a crime of violence to terrorize another. I think that fits the behavior of Sergeant Fahey, that sentence I just read.
Yeah, I do too. I didn't know about it. Good job.
Yep, and I'll finish with this. Threatening the first degree is a more serious charge, potentially involving a felony conviction and longer prison sentence. And I would tie that in with possession of the firearm as part of that threatening body posture.
Wow. And by the way, you know, one of the things that bothers me at the end of this video here
excuse me,
is literally the fact that Mr. Reyes is like, well, then take us both in. And he kind of makes that dismissive statement. And the officer is like, oh, very well, turn around. Almost like the officer is being retaliatory. Like, okay, we're going to cuff you up now and not only take you, but take your cameraman with you. And by this point, I don't understand if there was a lapse in time, but I didn't grasp from this video if there was even time to have taken a fuller statement from Trooper Fahey by this point. It really seems lopsided to me. The officers kind of heard enough and then were quasi taunted by Mr. Reyes, legally speaking, and he was within his right to do it, but he's like, well, then take us both in. Very well, turn around, cuff them up, and he goes, but nothing happens to Fahey. I think you've hit it spot on, Todd, in terms of what Trooper Fahey's conduct would fall under. And I don't know if there will be charges against him or not. I doubt it. I'm hoping they go away as to Reyes and the other gentleman.
Yeah, the proper response by that supervisor on scene would have been, there's another charge for that.
Yeah.
Not a shoulder shrug is my point.
Yeah. And it made me think of, do you both remember the Gabby Petito case? And there's an issue in that case that, you know, there's civil litigation that stemmed from it. And it had to do with a roadside stop of Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito within like the 24 to 48 hours before she went missing and her ultimate demise. But the officers out in like Utah or wherever they were had stopped them because of, you know, a domestic a DV related allegation and erratic driving. And those officers on the spot were like looking up DV related statutes on the spot to determine what they were supposed to do and what the right course of action was. Who should they be taking away from the other person? Who gets protective housing and et cetera. And it just made me think to myself when I saw this officer in Mr. Reyes's matter. I'm like, is it normal? And maybe it is, Todd. Is it normal and typical for troopers or police officers to be like looking up statutes on the scene to see if
going to ask him that, Nan. Good question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
No, I was just going to ask him, like, how does this work?
Like, do you have a handbook?
Charge people, right?
You know, makes me think of when I had like a pocket constitution when I first became a lawyer. Like, are you just whipping it out going, okay, yeah, it falls under that. How does that work?
The little black book.
Todd?
We did a lot of motor vehicle enforcement, so I always had a cheat sheet. I always had a whole list of statutes that I could write on a citation, Mass General Laws, Chapter 90, whatever the violation is, and you would have the same thing for your criminal, right? You're not everything, but
right.
your most frequent, if you will, charges you would have a cheat sheet on. The fact that there were so many police officers there would have been time to research the appropriate charge and advise Mr. Reyes, if you want to take charges, come to the station and we'll accommodate your request.
Yeah, this case is very interesting. I was very surprised that it popped up in like the middle of the day and Aiden started reporting on it, like I think on Friday or Thursday. And I was like, what is this case? This is amazing. It definitely makes me want to follow the Long Island Audit or Auditor and Audit and to sign the petition for him. And I'm so impressed, Brian, that you're going to the hearing once you find the courthouse.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get down there. I'd like to get down there and just see how they're, how things work, and I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of support there. Yeah, I've been following Sean for at least a good 2 or 3 years, and this popped into my feed immediately. I was tweeting about it on the same day it dropped on the 14th, and just going, everybody needs to look at this. And I just didn't get around to doing like a reaction video yet. And I had the opportunity with Jason on Sunday, and I was really hoping, and I'm glad that we could have went through this, to the three of us, to really pick this apart. Because I knew where Nan sat on this because she was in my chat on Sunday, but I was really curious to see where Todd was going to land on this too, to hear. And, very pleasantly surprised with, all of our thoughts on this, because I think we got it right on this one. There's a channel out there that it's called Audit the Audit, and they do these kind of breakdowns of these two. And I can hear the voice now. Mr. Reyes acted in, a journalistic way, and he gets an A+. And Sergeant Fahey, for his failure to, whatever, he gets an F-. So I'm sure we may hear that soon. But
I need to watch more of these. Like, I really didn't have an appreciation for these types of auditors. I will do that moving forward.
Yeah.
I can tell you the First Amendment audit stuff, police officers get jammed up more often than they should.
More often than they should.
More
Interesting.
often than they should. Yeah.
I can say this. There's some wacky channels out there that do it, but I enjoy the guys that do it correctly. And I have to say that Sean Paul Reyes does it correctly. He knows the law. He follows the law. And look, now he has this unfortunate situation, but I have to go along with what Todd says. He's feeling that these charges are going to be dropped. I hope so, as they should, but I don't know. This could be another stick it to you situation, just like Aiden Carney's going through. So we'll have to see the final result of this. I know this is something that I can continue to watch. I'm sure everybody in this chat is as well. All right, everybody. We ran a little bit over our hour and 30, which is perfectly fine, because I always love spending time with these two amazing individuals here. Our Monday nights are always fun, filled with, I don't want to say fun, because we tackle a lot of terrible cases when we talk about awful things, but I think fun to hear, the expert opinions on both ends of the spectrum here. We have a retired state trooper, and we have an active and ongoing legal consultant and lawyer. So it's always good to hear that. So I want to say thank you for everybody for watching us this evening. I do appreciate it. And, we'll be back and do another one of these again soon. I always say that. And then we end up doing another one on Monday because something comes up. And I appreciate the both of you. I love the both of you. And thank you for helping here on LTL Media. It's been really a lot of fun.
It's a long 6 days in between Mondays, so what can happen?
Something always comes up and I go, we got to do this. And Todd's always, let's do it. Come on, let's go. So I'm sure something's going to happen in the next week. If we have any follow-up on Sean's case, of course, we can talk about that. And we'll keep an eye on Miles King. And obviously, if anything pops up with Proctor or in, Karen's case, we'll be here. We'll be talking about it. Brian Walsh has some upcoming court dates soon in August. So everybody's going to want to look out for that. And I cannot wait to go through and hear Adam Lally's testimony today. And maybe I'll do some breaking down on that on Wednesday night if I can find it. But again, that is Nan Gallagher to my, I'm pointing the wrong way. No, that's Nan Gallagher there. Everything's reversed on camera. And that's Todd McGhee there. I am Brian, LTL Media. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And again, if you're down at the Star Drive-In, which you should be, go get some ice cream. Help Erica out over this week. Just mention LTL at the register and you'll get 10% off. And I would appreciate it. All right, we're going to head out, everybody. Have a great night. Have a happy Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.